The OP09 Monkey D Luffy deck is finally here. How strong is it? Well, let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. My name is Mobby, and today I'm going to give you my current deck profile for my Luffy for OP09, the Purple Black Leader. Make sure to like it, subscribe for more videos. I upload daily deck profiles for One Piece, Fusion World, Dragon Ball, and Union Arena. Alright, so with this deck, I try to make this really heavily synergized with a lot of the new cards from OP09 as well as cards from ST18. So if you're watching this in the future, these are cards all the way up to OP09. So it's 90% Straw Hat. Let's go ahead and talk about it. And really quick, my first impressions, I think this deck is pretty strong, but it's not like the greatest, but it's pretty good. So here it is, Luffy, and all of these cards are translated, photoshopped, and proxied by me. If you want to learn how to do your own, link down below to do your own proxies. Alright, so starting with the leader, here it is. This Purple Black, 5000 power and 4 life. The abilities are as follows. When one Dawn is attached, your characters have +1 cost. This is permanent on your turn and the opponent's turn. It's really powerful for when you need to use abilities that, when you have to have 8 or more cost character, or when your opponent wants to use effects on them. It's going to be a little harder with that ability. Then during your turn, once per turn, when 2 or more Dawn cards are returned to your Dawn deck from play, set up one of your Dawn as active and one as rest. So the way this works is you literally have to do 2 or more. It cannot be 2 instances of 1 and 1. It's 2 at the same time, and then this activates once, 1 active, 1 rested. So if you're able to do just 2, you're going to be able to play it for free and get 1 active to use for anything else, attaching it to a leader or character, or maybe using it standing so you can, maybe use an event. So really cool leader. Let's go ahead and check out all the cards. So there's a 1 to 9 cost. We're going to talk about all of them here. So the first one we're using is a new card from OP09. This is the Trafalgar Law Hard Pirates. This is why I said this is 90% Straw Hats. However, this card is really synergistic with it. 1/1 on play, look at the top 4 cards and reveal a Straw Hat crew or Hard Pirate and put it into your hand. Then you place the rest to the bottom. Really good. There is an event kind of like this from a past set called When You're at Sea You Fight Pirates that searches a Straw Hat, a Hard Pirate, and a Kid Pirate, but that only looks for 3 cards, but it also has a trigger that lets you ramp up. If you're playing just Straw Hats or Hard Pirates, you might as well use these because it's actually a body, it's also a counter, and you search up 4 cards instead of 3. It really depends on the deck you're running, whether you want to run this one or that event. So this one is being used in this deck. So we're running 4 of these searchers. Next up, we have our event of the deck. This is Gum Gum Giant also from OP09. This is a 1 cost counter. You use -2 Dawn, so you rest 1, then you -2 Dawn. You also trash 1 card from your hand. All of that is the requirements. Then, if your leader has Straw Hat Crew, which is a purple leader only, so it must be this Luffy, or there's like 2-3 Luffys and the Robin you can use it on. Then you give up to one of your leaders or characters 4000 power, which is great for 1. Then you draw 2 cards. This is a really amazing card. The -2 Dawn does not work with the ability because it's only during your turn, and this is during the opponent's turn. The best way you want to use this card is if you're using a Radical Beam. Super late game, it doesn't really matter if you're getting rid of 2 Dawn when you have 8 Dawn, 9 Dawn, 10 Dawn, because the next turn, you're going to go ahead and ramp back up. So you want to use it at the very end, or, if you really need to sift cards, do so. Because you're trashing 1 and then you're drawing 2, so you're getting hand advantage. You're also being able to, get some power there. So it's pretty good. Very, very, very strong new event coming out from OP09 that is going to see a lot of play in a bunch of purple decks. Next up, we have also a new card from OP09. This is Nico Robin 2/1. It's just a basic blocker, not much to go here. You have a lot of late game cards, so this will help out in the early game or just when you need to get a blocker out. So we're running 3 of these Robins. Next up, we have Uso Hachi. This is our first of the 2Ks we're talking about. This one is from ST18. 3/3/2 on play. If you have 8 or more Dawn, rest up to one of your opponent's 5 or less. This is great for just the countering, or maybe late game when you want to go for game and you need to rest something that's a 5 or so blocker. It's pretty good in that regard. So we're running 4 of these Uso Hachis. Next up, we have these new Namis from OP09. That's also a 2K. 3/2/2 on play, return 1 or more Dawn to your Dawn deck. So this works with the leader if you need to use it this way. Then you attach 2 of your rested Dawn to one of your leaders or characters. So you could use it, you most likely won't, but it's there, and it's a 2K, and you're able to search for it, say with the Trafalgar Law. Now, I said this is it's 4 cards at Straw Hat, but it has to be 2 or greater. So there you go. Really awesome. Okay, next up we have another new card from OP09. This leader got a ton of new cards, and all these cards help out not only this leader, but then the other straight purple Luffy leader and the red purple Luffy leader, and the new Robin deck if you choose to run the Straw Hat package in that deck. Okay, so this is Roanoa Zoro, 3/5/0 counter. On play, you return 1 or more Dawns, so this again. Then you set up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as active, so this is a great ramping card. You want to see this in your opening hand. Maybe just only 1 though, you don't want to see maybe 2 or anything like that. But it's a great card. It's also good for being trash fodder, so even though it's garbage later on if you end up drawing it, you can still use it to trash to draw 2 cards, so it's pretty good. There you go. Next up, we have Franky, another new card from OP09. This is a SR, so 4/5/1. This is an alternate art. It is blocker. Then on play, you can remove 2 Dawn. You don't have to. Then you discard 1 and draw 2. So once again, it's a nice sifting. If you just play it regularly, it does have blocker, but you can sift if you want. 2, 3, 4. 4 of these blockers. Next up, it's another Zoro. This one's from the ST18 starter deck though. 4/6/0 on play. We'll look at the top 5, and then you get 1 purple Straw Hat. It doesn't matter how high it is, how low the cost is. It just has to be a Straw Hat. So really nice. Again, Zoro, man. Zoro in this deck is really powerful. Look at these 2 Zoros. You got a ramping Zoro early game, and then the second turn you can go and search. It's pretty good. Next up, we have our mid to late game. We have Jinbei from OP05, or is this 6? I can't read that. What did I put there? OP05, 5/6/1 blocker. Then on your opponent's turn, if you have 10 Dawn cards, this character gets an extra 1000 power. So late game, if you meet the requirements, it's gonna be a 5/7, which is very good for a 1 counter. So there you go, running 3 of these Jinbeis. Next up, we have Brooks, a new card from OP09, 6/7/1. This is a common card. When attacking, you can return 1 or more Dawn to your Dawn deck. Once again, choose 2 of your opponent's characters. They get negative 2000 power. This is good if you play it for the first turn. If you play it, it's a little slow. But if you play it the turn that you're able to, and then the next turn you're able to play another card that we talk about that goes after this, there's 2 rushing cards. You can give 2 characters -2 and be able to attack them that way. It's a pretty decent card. This deck doesn't really have a lot of good Straw Hats that have 5 or 6 costs, so this one will fill in that void. So we're running just 2 of these. Next up, we have Sanji's. This is another 2K of the deck. This is from OP07, 6/6/2. However, if the number of your field is at least 2 less than your opponent's, this gets a -3 cost, making it a 3 cost. So it'll be a 3 cost blocker. You can technically use any one of the, the negative Dawn stuff to make it go negative, but you're usually not doing it. But it's here just in case you need to. Otherwise, it's just a really nice 2K. Here's another new OP09 card, some of your late game stuff. This is Sanji, 7/7/1. On play, you can return 1 or more Dawn for your leader's ability. This character then gains rush. You have to do this, otherwise he does not get rush. Then you can rest up to one of your opponent's 6 or lower, so you can attack other characters, attack that blocker, go for a game, etc. It has a 1 counter. I believe this should have been, this would have been really crazy if this, we got rid of this and this was a 7/8. That would make it really hard to get rid of and a good attacker. So we're running 4 of these. That's really good because there's a counter on it. All right, next up we have some Gecko Morias. Yes, this is a black deck. We're only running 2 of them in here though. So from OP06, 8/9/0. On play, choose up to a 4 and a 2 cost characters. Play 1 active, play 1 rested. After we go through the last card, I'll go ahead and talk about some of the different combos you can do with this in the deck. And then for the final card of the deck, we're running this Monkey D. Luffy from OP09. This is a secret rare, 9/10/0 counter. On play, return 1 or more leader ability. You get to then draw 1 card, which is interesting. Then this character gains rush, 10,009 rush is pretty freaking good. So that is the deck. As you can see here, it's all about just ramping up very, very slightly with that Zoro. So you have double searchers to get what you need. You have 12 2Ks, as well as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 10 or so blockers. You have a ton of blockers. You have a lot of discard and draw. So even though you have 14 zero cost counter characters, you are going to be discarding them to do stuff. A lot of good stuff. So let's quickly talk about the Gecko Moria. The best things that you're going to be doing with the Gecko Moria is getting a 4 cost first. So the best 4 costs that you want to see in the deck is either this Zoro Jiro, so you can go ahead and get a free search, or you get this Franky. If you get this Franky, you're going to have an active blocker, and you're going to be able to discard and, discard one and draw 2. So 2 good ones to do here. As for your, and I think the camera froze. Give me a second. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. Okay, so those are your best 4 costs that you want to do. Now, for the 2 costs or less, you either want to get your Trafalgar Law, so you can go ahead and search, or you can get a nice Nico Robin. Now, the problem with getting the Robin is if you're going to grab, the Franky or the Zoro, you are probably going to want to play them as active. However, if you end up playing Zoro, maybe you can play him rested, then you can play Robin up, so you have a blocker. Or you can do Franky up and Law down, so you have a blocker, and you can have a rested character that gives you an on-play card. So that is the deck. It's all about getting a lot of value early game, because every time you use your leader's ability, you're going to go ahead and get another Dawn active and one rested. So even though you're removing Dawn, you're going to get it back, and you're going to be using that Dawn for other stuff. Now, you have to remember, you can only use it once per turn. So this deck, I try to make it so you have a consistent amount of, negative Dawn cards, but also not negative Dawn cards. Because if you could only use it once per turn, there's no reason, for example, late game, using this Franky with its ability, and then using something like the other Zoro for its ability. So, there you go. It's a pretty interesting deck. I hope you guys like it, and stay tuned for more One Piece on the channel. We'll be having a lot of duels, including all of OP09 leaders. Thanks, and I'll see you next time. Bye.